Next, we're going to learn how we can duplicate layer content. So using the layer panel, we can duplicate layers and even content. So we are going to do that right now. With the phone content layer twirled open in our layers panel, we're going to click to select the group that we named description previously. So get this one highlighted. And we're going to make a copy of it. And just like we do with shapes on the artboard, if we hold Option while we drag, we'll make a copy. So hold Option and then click and drag down until you see a blue line right below, and then let go of your mouse and then let go of the Option key. And you can see that we made an exact copy of the description, and that one is currently targeted. It's highlighted on our artboard and it's targeted here as well. I'm going to do an undo just to show you that we could have selected the artwork here and done an option and pulled this down as well to get a duplicate of that. Another thing you can do is use the flyout menu and choose duplicate here. But the way that we did it first, I'm just going to redo that. We're going to hold down Option, click and drag and let go. All right. That made a complete duplicate of it. We are going to Option click on the original group name description. So we're going to Option click on this one. And that's going to by holding Option, we actually selected it on the artboard as well. If we just simply click, we highlight the whole row. So an Option click targets it here and selects it on our artboard. And with it selected on the artboard, we're just going to take this and we're going to drag it off of the artboard over here. It's just a copy that we have in case we do some things later on and we need to have editable text. We might turn this into outlines rather than a font, and we'll learn about that later in this class. But this is just a good practice to have an extra version over here of editable text. And remember, the only things that print or actually mean anything are the objects on the artboard. So none of this image will print or show anything. And everything off our artboard will also not print or not be part of the original, or will not be part of the app. So the next thing we're going to do is make a copy of the entire navigation layer, and we're going to drag a copy of that off the artboard. This can be a way to make a design version off to the side. So click the navigation layer up here, and it's still locked, but we're going to drag this name down to the Create New Layer button at the bottom of the panel. So if we look down here before we go and do it, it's going to be the plus sign, Create New Layer. So we're taking this whole layer and we're going to drag it down, hover it over the plus sign, and then let go. That's another way of doing things. That made a whole duplicate layer. All of it and its contents are pasted in place, which means they are exactly over top this original version, and we won't notice it. So notice also that this one was nice and it added the word copy, unlike down here. So we actually see navigation copy. It too is locked. We're going to click on the lock icon to the left of the copy version to unlock it, and then to select the copied content so we can move it off the artboard, we're going to click on the selection indicator column to the far right over here of navigation copy to select all of the content on that layer. And then on the artboard, we're simply going to drag it off to the right so that we have our copy over here. To complete the design of this app, we're going to copy and paste the remaining pieces of artwork that we need from another file. And we're going to paste the layered file into this one and keep the layers intact. So we're going to do a file open, and we're going to go to our lesson 10, and we're going to choose the other Illustrator file, or the only one, called Sizes AI, and we're going to open it. And this is what we have. And what we want to do is look at our layers panel and see that we do have a bunch of different layers here in this layer called sizes. We're going to do a select all to get all the document or all of the different layers selected, and then we're going to do a copy. edit copy or command letter C. We're actually done with this file and we can close it. Now when we come back to our original file, we want to double check something before we move on. So in our layers panel, we're going to come to the top right to the menu, and we're going to make sure that this check mark is on. Paste remembers layers. That needs to be on because when we paste what we just copied in, we want all those layers to come with it. We don't want it to be a flattened file. So as long as that is good, we're actually going to paste now. So we're just going to do an edit paste or a command V, and that's going to drop it right into the center of our artboard. This, by the way, was added to the top of our current stack. So this is on top, the sizes layer, and all of the sub layers came with it, which is perfect. That's what we wanted. We do, however, want to move this into the phone content layer. So we're going to take this layer, drag it down onto the phone content, and when that's lit up, we are going to let go, and it's going to become a sub layer of the phone content layer. We're going to drag our selected artwork down and position it on the artboard. It's actually too big, but we're going to evidently deal with that later, or we're happy with this, and we're going to let go right there. And then we're going to deselect, and we have one more thing to do before we move on. We're going to apply an appearance attribute to a layer. So we can use our layers panel to apply appearance attributes such as styles, effect, and transparency to layers, groups, and objects. When an appearance attribute is applied to a layer, any object on that layer will get that attribute. So if we applied something to the sizes layer, all of these sub-layers would get it as well. If an appearance attribute is applied only to a specific object on a layer, it will affect only that object and not the entire layer. So the next thing we're going to do is apply an effect to all of the artwork on one layer. We're going to click on the circle. These are the target icons to the right of the navigation copy. So we're going to click on this circle. Clicking the target icon indicates that we want to apply an effect, style, or transparency to that layer or whatever we've targeted. The layer, sublayer, group, or object is now targeted. The content is also selected in our document window. When the target button appears as a double ringed icon, the item is targeted. A single ring means that it's not. So you can tell that by clicking it, we now are targeting this navigation copy layer. We're going to do a whole lot more of this in a whole chapter. This is just a little foreshadowing of what's to come. But to apply an effect, we're going to come up to our effect drop-down box. We're going to stay up in the top half here of Illustrator effects. These keep vectors. And we're going to choose Stylize and then Drop Shadow. We're going to get a pop-up window that lets us change how we treat things in this window. We're going to keep our mode at multiply. That's the default. We're going to take our opacity down to 50%. And then you can hit Tab to jump to the next. We're going to do a 0 X offset, a 10 pixel Y offset. We're going to blur it by 3 pixels, and color is going to be selected. And we're going to click on OK. And we now see in our layers panel that the circle is filled in. That tells us that the layer has at least one appearance attribute applied to it. And from there, we can deselect. And we are going to move on in our book. So let's at this point do a file, save as, and we're through 296. We have just one more topic to go through, and that is a clipping mask, which is really cool. So stay with me for the last video.